Welcome to LifeHerStyle, a podcast for Christian women who are ready to live boldly for Christ in every season of life. I'm your host, Kari, pastor's wife, ordained minister, toddler mama, and truth-speaking friend. Whether you're navigating motherhood, ministry, marriage, or your God-given mission, you'll find inspiration rooted in scripture and stories that point your heart back to Jesus. Tune in each week as we explore faith-filled living through the stories of ordinary women doing extraordinary things for Christ. Because her style of life, it's set apart. Let's do life her style.
So we finished with the discussion panel. We got in the car. We drove to Springfield to have some lunch at a place there called FD's Grill House, which is really good too. Just great lunch. And then you were like, go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, just go to sleep. I got this. And typically, I do a lot of the driving when we're on the road, and I literally did none of the driving, and I kind of feel bad for that. I know at first I was like, I'll drive, and then I just never said, I'll drive after that.
No, it was completely fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do most of the driving.
So
it was just normal. Yeah. And yeah.
I was not used to it, but it was nice to have someone else be in charge of the road.
Okay,
you know?
if we ever do this again,
yeah,
you'll have primary driving.
Okay, all right. We swap, and I'll be the driver for that, so you can experience.
And then I'd be like, this feels wrong.
Yeah, I shouldn't be doing this. But I did sleep a little bit, on the way home, and it definitely felt longer going home.
Definitely.
It was just we were both in that mindset of getting home to our families, and we still enjoyed each other's company, and it was let's get home. And so it felt much longer. And so then the aftermath of that, what were some of the things that you processed? Both, maybe it entered your mind on the drive or when you got home. What were some of the things that impacted you that day and the days following?
I think what I struggle with a lot of times is had such a great experience. The messages that were shared, the panel, great, but I don't want it to be just a weekend thing. Mm-hmm. Once you get back into real life, how is this going to be implemented going forward? And that's hard.
Yeah.
That's just hard. And so, just phones, you know, and it's my husband likes to have the TV on. He likes to have background noise, and, it's always been like that. But it's that's almost like fingernails on a chalkboard for me now. And it's we have designated nights where we don't do that. And I'm I kind of just hope it breaks so we could just be done with it.
Anymore.
And he was we'll be replacing it. Well, I can dream, I guess.
Yeah.
But, just setting those parameters of don't make things so accessible to be a distraction, to bring clutter back into, my mind and my life. And so, and it's hard. It's hard for me to do that because, sometimes I want to break from whatever. And it's I need to work on finding something else.
Yeah.
I don't want something just to be a filler, just to, take up that time or that space. Set that aside and just be present. Just the Shane thing that you guys did. I was what is this? It was so slow, purposely, and it's that's what I want to work on, because I'm not a fast-paced person by any means, but I feel I want to get the max whatever out of my time, and it's it is okay to stop. And so that was a big thing.
Yeah. The stop and slow down. Stop and pay attention, sometimes I say, because when we're going, we don't necessarily give God or anything our attention,
right,
other than what we think we should be doing in that moment. The phone thing, it was something I was challenging myself before we went on this, but I stopped scrolling my phone in the bed. So at night before I go to sleep, I don't have my phone in the bed, and in the morning, first thing. Usually I'd roll over and I'd pick it up and scroll, or I'd scroll before I went to sleep. And so I stopped doing that. And I tried to start reading more. And so now I'm on this kick where I want to read a book every week. And so far I've done that.
Wow.
So I've read 5. I've just finished the 5th book. I've read 5 books so far this year. Well, just in the last really month. And that's more books than I read last year combined all year.
That's amazing.
And so instead of now rolling over and picking up my phone, I'm picking up a book because I'm really into, this book that I'm reading. And I have felt so much freer of the burden of social media. It's useful. It is a tool, but you don't have to spend hours on it. I've realized this.
Yeah.
I can still share aspects of my life or read other people's, and it doesn't take up my whole day.
Right. And it's like with you, I mean, you have LifeHerStyle. You're doing this podcast, you have your Instagram, you have all these things. I don't even post on anything except like 3 times a year, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's still a time sucker, you know? And it's like, I'm just... I have those handful of people that I like to follow or whatever, and it's like, wow, 40 minutes has gone by.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, what did I just do?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know if something changed on my phone. It may have been with like an update or something, but I used to get like a Sunday morning, this is how much time you've spent on your phone on average. Now, keep in mind that this is including podcasts or videos or whatever that I would be playing. I'm trying to like have excuses for this, but my average was like 5.5 hours a day. And I thought, wow. And now I don't know if it's an update, but it's not sending me those reports anymore, because I think maybe cumulatively throughout the course of a day, maybe an hour to an hour and a half, either creating content or looking up information or, taking in a podcast or listening to music or whatever. That's generally what I'm using it for. But I would put our daughter to bed at night and I would sit on the couch and I would scroll whatever media, I felt like scrolling in that moment. I don't do that anymore. I cleaned up what I was watching, like on television and stuff earlier on. So now I may watch like 30 minutes of a, When Calls the Heart, which I never thought I would be into. But it's clean and it has great cinematography. And so if you haven't watched it before, it's on, Amazon Prime right now. And so I'll, watch an episode of that or whatever. But life looks different now. And you feel freer when you let go of those things. And kind of like you talking about having like no TV on certain days. I was like your husband and needing like that noise in the background all the time. And when we had our daughter, my husband was like, I don't want the TV on all the time. And he had a point. I was like, okay, yeah, because we don't know what she's absorbing from that. And, we don't even let her listen to advertisements on the radio because it's like, what are they trying to sell our kids, And so that did it for me. That broke it for me because I used to have our TV on. I would be listening to the news all day or whatever. And it did break. And so, if you exercise that for just long enough, it may just happen naturally. If you start shifting your focus to other things, it's funny how quickly those things that you thought were so important to you just kind of like fade off into the sunset. And so hopefully in some of this, somebody may say, well, maybe I should put my phone down for a little bit every day. I got rid of my smartphone or my smartwatch. That was something that was dinging all day long, causing me frustration. As soon as I took it off my wrist, it was like the heavens opened. And I remember just the freedom it felt not feeling tethered to my phone on my wrist anymore. So yeah, it's a huge deal. And I think people getting rid of that, or at least having some control over it. Because we think we have control over it, but you don't really until you exercise that control.
Right.
You can say that you have control of it, but until you exercise control of it, you really don't. It's really controlling you. So it's interesting that you picked up on that. Anything else stand out to you that has maybe changed or shifted, or that you've reflected on since then?
Just kind of in that same sphere, like just maximizing my time. So in the mornings in the car when I'm taking my son to school, we will do the Lord's Prayer during that time. And then after that, I'll ask him, okay, is there somebody or something you want to pray about this morning? And he's listed people. He said that he saw someone on the side of the road, kind of a main drag downtown, and they were sick, and he said he saw them hunched over getting sick.
Oh, no.
And
it might have happened here.
I know.
Yeah.
He described this person, and he was like, I want to pray for that person. And that just really touched me. It's like he sees these people, on the streets and driving down the highway. He's looking and he's seeing these things, and that just was so sweet to me. Like, he wanted to pray for that man, who was sick, and I don't know his situation. And I asked my husband, I'm like, did you see anybody? And he was like, I wasn't paying attention. And it's just like, the whole thing, like, slow down, and I don't know that I probably would have noticed something like that. Just be like, have I seen that person before? Have I seen that person before? But it's just like, I love that he saw it.
Yeah.
And, that he called it out. And I just thought that was so, so special.
That's a lesson we can learn from our kids, because I think our daughter is very observant like that too. Like, she doesn't miss anything. Mm-hmm. And she sees stuff or hears stuff that I don't see or hear. Mm-hmm. Because I'm thinking of other things, I'm doing other things. I'm not necessarily looking up to look at the world around me. But that's all they have.
Right.
They don't have the cares of life to drag their little minds, miles and miles away. They have what's in front of them in the moment. And so that's why we have to be so careful about what we say in front of her, what we share in front of her, because she'll take it and she'll ask 52 bajillion questions about, this or that, and understanding that she is such a sponge, and she absorbs all of that, and is learning from what she sees of the world. Mm-hmm. And so it does not surprise me, would not surprise me if he really saw that,
And it's like, my husband will be next to me. I'm driving in the car, and did you see that car over there? Like, that was whatever. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm driving here.
But I just kind of smiled to myself earlier when you said your daughter was a sponge, and I was thinking of on the way down, she asked me something, or I don't know if we were playing I Spy or whatever, and I said ding ding ding. And then that turned into a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. that now she says that as you're right. Ding, 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 ding.
And I'm like, oh, sorry.
It started a whole new game. But yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, because our kids do help us calibrate our minds and our observances. Sometimes we see things and think about things. I have to slow down sometimes and explain stuff to her, because she'll be like, what is this? I forget that her 4-year-old self has never seen certain things. And then I have to explain what that is. And I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it's kind of like, how does a fan work? Well, you turn the switch on and these blades go fast. You just simple things to us, but they're so profound to our children. One of the things that she's picked up lately is, I said to my husband the other day, I said, FYI, And then I gave him some fact that I wanted him to know. And so she's like, what is FYI? And so I said, it's for your information. It's like saying, I have some information for you. And so now she'll be like, let's do FYI. Oh. FYI, I love you. FYI, I love you too. And so we'll just go back and forth on FYI. But we take for granted that our kids don't know those simple things. And so you have to slow down and you have to explain. And we try to be honest with her, even about the hard stuff. You know, one of the things my husband had to do today was go and do a baptism for a man on hospice. And we were talking about logistically how he should do that, because we believe in baptism through submersion. Well, this man is a patient on hospice, so it's not like you can dunk him underwater. And so how are we going to do this? How are we going to go through this and make it a meaningful thing? And she was there to hear that whole conversation, and she would ask questions. And we would just try to be honest with her, because at the end of the day, they're learning the facts of life. And to sugarcoat it or cover it up, to like guard our kids from the truth, it's only going to prolong them learning the truth. And if they can learn the truth now, it'll be so much more easier for them to process in the future when those things start to hit. We take her to funerals with us, and she's looked at, you know, in the casket of all of these people who've passed away, and we have to explain to her, you know, the whole process. They're not there. That's just their body. They're not there. And so yeah, and she's inquisitive about that kind of stuff. But our kids do cause us to slow down. Our kids cause us to pay attention and observe more. And maybe we need that.
I think we do. And to see the wonder.
Oh, man.
You know? And it's like we were working in the yard today and digging in the dirt to plant some shrubs. And are there any earthworms over here? Yeah, here's one. You know? And just like, thank you for this worm. Yeah. You know? And it's just, that was such a big thing. He was so excited to get some dirt for these worms, to have a habitat for them. And it's just like, you know what? I can tell you I don't think about worms ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
I don't either.
But
kids pay attention to that
stuff.
Yeah.
And it was, you know, something special that, you know, we talked about, and we held the worms, and, you know.
You went one too far there. I don't think I would have picked up the worm. I am that girl.
Worms I can do. Others, no.
I feel like when you're a boy mom, your level of ick has to kind of come down a little bit so that you can function. I'm not sure. And even sometimes, I have a girl, and I think, ew, like, why? You're a girl. You shouldn't be, playing with this or thinking this or being interested in this, but she is, and I try not to discourage her from that kind of exploration just because of my own. Our kids feed off of what we think about the world.
Right.
For instance, when it storms, I love storms. I love the lightning. I love the thunder. I love hearing the rain on the house. But when I was younger, I was afraid. And I realize now, looking back, it was my parents' reaction to storms sometimes that made me feel afraid, because 9 times out of 10 somebody was nervous. We were going down in the basement, we were hunkering down, and I learned more to be afraid. Not that it was my parents' fault any of that happened. It's just that was what they felt, and they were being honest in that. And so I didn't want my daughter to feel that way. And so I tried to just, kind of be overly exuberant about storms. Even when the tornado warnings are happening, it's like, hey, it's cool. There might be a tornado. Maybe we'll see something we've never seen today. That would be so cool. And just trying to be in awe about that for her. And, she does not, when it storms at night, she doesn't get spooked. She's not asking to crawl in our bed because it's, thundering. She thinks, oh, this is cool. I'm going to have a good sleep tonight.
Yeah.
And so our kids feed off of our responses to the world. And, boy, that makes me feel so, bad about the times that I've just kind of lost my cool over the stuff that was happening in life, when I could have reined it in a little bit and thought, okay, I'm going to approach this through the eyes of faith and trust in God. And, and so kids, if you don't have some, because it does change your perspective on life. Mm-hmm. And it makes you pump the brakes when you would normally just speed right through stuff and not see it. So yeah, any other shining glimmers from the weekend that you have?
I'm just glad we were able to do it. It was just fun to have time together. Yeah. It was fun to peruse like the Five and Dime, and we walked to a couple of the Silo like store. That was just fun, and that's not something that we, like, me and my husband and my son would have done. We would maybe hit the Five and Dime store. Although I would have been
so anxious.
Oh my gosh. If I would have taken him in there, yikes.
Oh yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. I don't think we could do that.
I
think she would like it a lot.
Oh yeah. I'm just too much. There's too much to look at.
Oh.
And
to break.
I picked up a whoopee cushion for him, and that has been a huge hit.
Really?
He loves it.
Oh man.
Yeah, he thinks it is so funny.
See, when you have, I bought my daughter a necklace. She bought her son a whoopee cushion. Like the difference between boy mom, girl mom. This is what we do. However, if I would have brought a whoopee cushion home, my daughter would have thought it was hilarious, and my husband would have been like, "Really?" But it's funny.
Yeah.
Well, it was such a good trip, and I'm so glad that we got to do it. And I think now, like looking back, I'm just more intentional now than I ever have been. I've experienced life now slowed down in a 48-hour time period where we got to kind of be together and have a good time and not have this hardcore schedule. Like that was the cool thing about it, is just kind of, hey, let's do this and let's do this, and have a fun time in that way. But then come back home and do what we're called to do right now, and that's be wives and moms and sisters and friends, and really hopefully minister to the world around us, but then also to remember to be still sometimes and slow down and pay attention, and these are really important in the grand scheme of our faith. And so I think that having gotten to do this with you is a huge gift at this juncture in our lives. Like, I don't know why we didn't do this stuff before we were wives and mothers, but now it's like huge, and who knows when the next time we'll get to do something. Like, we may have to take husbands and our kids the next time we go on a trip, just because that's not something we've done either.
No, and I think that would be great. And my husband said that. He was like, maybe if you guys go again and it's just you two, we can let's just go together.
We'll get an Airbnb.
Yeah. So
we'll stay up in the living room and talk. They can go to their rooms and go to sleep. And we'll do all the girl stuff in the living space. Yeah, that would be a good time. So before we go, I always ask about, what you would order at a coffee shop. We've done that. We've both answered that question. So I want to know, if you make yourself coffee at home, what's like the brand of coffee you use, or how do you make your coffee at home?
Okay, so I gave coffee up in February. I was like, I'm not going to have coffee. And, which was, I drink like 1 cup a day, if that. And it was good. So I have really liked Hazel's beans.
That's local,
Local, yep. It was great. It just tastes different now.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I just bought this pound bag of beans, and my husband doesn't drink coffee from home, so I'm like, it's going to take me a while to get through this.
Yeah.
But I want to try the one that you were talking about, the 7-week coffee.
Yeah, 7 weeks. That's one of the ones that we use at home. So you would have had Hazel's before. Do you put anything in it when you make it at home? Do you pour over or in a carafe or whatever?
It's just like drip coffee. Like, I don't know coffee terms, but put it in there, and then I just add a little cream, like half and half, and stevia usually, and maybe sometimes like a little vanilla syrup.
Yeah.
But
that sounds good. So yeah, 7 Weeks coffee is the kind that we use at home. We also use another brand of decaf sometimes, but 7 Weeks is primarily what I like. It's what they serve here at Solace, my coffee shop, which is how I had tried it for the first time. I had heard of 7 Weeks coffee before, but unless you try it and like it, it's like, why would you buy a bag of coffee that you've never tried before? Because you might end up not liking it. And so Solace was kind of my initiation into 7 Weeks coffee. And now I'm an ambassador for their coffee brand. So if you want to try a 7 Weeks coffee, this is what's cool about it is it's a pro-life coffee. They donate proceeds to PRCs, Pregnancy Resource Centers, all over the United States. And actually, if you order online, I think you can choose which PRC gets the money, which is cool. And the reason they call it 7 Weeks coffee is because a baby at 7 weeks gestation is the size of a coffee bean. And that's usually when they can hear the heartbeat of the baby for the first time. And so it's a really good connection to coffee, but it's organic. It's supposed to be mold free, all of the good things that you would want in a coffee brand. And I love it. So if you go on 7weekscoffee.com, I think it's 7weekscoffee.com, you go to their website, you can use LifeHerStyle as the code to get 10% off whatever your order is. So little advertisement for you there. And then the proceeds from that, not only does proceeds go to the PRCs, but if you order with that LifeHerStyle code, proceeds come back to LifeHerStyle. And so it goes to pay for things like the platform that we use and, equipment if we need it or whatever. And so there's so many good reasons to like it. So if you try it, I get the espresso roast because I make lattes at home. So I have a little, it's not like an industrial espresso machine. One day I'll have the dream espresso machine. But I make myself an iced latte with that coffee. But they have other blends, stuff that would be good for a drip coffee or something like that. But I use the espresso roast and it's so delicious. I love it. And then
I want to try that.
I just do it in milk and ice, and maybe a little sweetener. So
maybe one day I'll be a cold coffee person. I'm not there yet.
Maybe I'll be the one to find something that you like.
Maybe. Who
knows?
knows?
I may have to have you try a sip of my cold coffee when we're together and just see if there's something that strikes your fancy.
Yeah, my husband, he likes the frappuccino type
the
stuff.
frappe.
I don't know if he will ever be just an iced coffee person either.
It's possible.
But I mean, I feel like he's more likely than I am. But
yeah, we need to go do a flight of coffees at some point where we try a little bit of everything. But yeah.
Because that was something on our trip, it was 90 degrees.
Yeah.
It was hot.
It was summertime.
I loved it.
I wore shorts.
Me too.
It was great.
Yeah, I loved it. But then it's I always feel weird ordering a hot coffee when it's 90 degrees 90. Outside. But I'm I just can't.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes if it's in the morning for me, a hot coffee is okay, even in the summertime. But if it's in the afternoon in the summertime, it's going to be an iced coffee. Because it's afternoon. The sun's, at the highest possible situation. It's 90 degrees outside. I'm not going to get a hot coffee unless it's first thing in the morning. You know, that little, I don't know. It's a little cooler in the morning, too. So, and it's kind of a cozy ritual. But, yeah, iced coffee in the summer afternoons especially is my jam. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
You're going to be just a staple in the whole LifeHerStyle.
Yeah, I mean, I hope.
Situation.
Yeah, I'm always game for that.
I have fun doing it. Yeah. And it's a reason that we get together and talk for a couple hours.
Right.
Thank you again for joining the LifeHerStyle podcast. I hope that you will continue to listen in. We have some more really cool episodes coming up. And until next time, see you later.
See ya.
Thanks so much for tuning in to LifeHerStyle. If today's episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Want to keep the conversation going? Come hang out with me on Instagram at LifeHerStyle. I'd love to connect with you there. And for deeper devotionals, resources, and encouragement straight to your inbox, join the LifeHerStyle community on Substack at lifeherstyle.substack.com. Until next time, remember, your life, your walk, your style. Do it all for the glory of God.